So salary is a drug that makes you forget about your dreams. So tell me about
Yeah.
this. Tell me about this, bro.
Yeah. So this is one of the, punchlines, a very, really strong one. I believe in, obviously it's said by someone else. I don't know whom, but I've read it and followed it. So salary is a drug they give you to forget your dreams.
Mm,
Uh, Maybe intentionally or non-intentionally. Uh, there is some compromise or some level of compromise you're made to do. We can call it collaboration, we can call it disagree and commit with someone. But in the end, I personally believe that a potential of a human being is much higher, which gets compromised when we are working for someone else. I've been in corporate for more than a decade. I've been working for
mm,
organizations, beautiful organizations, till date, and I'm still supportive of job as an employment. But what I, what I personally feel is that the potential that we have as an individual, every individual is different, is much higher or larger than what we are made to do. Because just working on the same 9 to 5 shift, or even if not 9 to 5 shift, you are in it, working in an innovation industry in R&D. Still, there is some level of or some degree of interference with from someone else,
mm,
which really might not make you do what you really love to do, or what potentially can the output be.
I think you made a good point, buddy. I think it is unintentional because you naturally, when you get an organization, it gets bigger and bigger. You will need people to do certain roles.
Yeah,
So here I am, bro. I'm starting this podcast. I'm doing everything. The editing, the producing. Getting new speakers on board. Hope you like the logo because I just did that on Canva. I wrote the pre-questionnaires. Don't get me wrong. I had a great help from a friend who really
yeah,
stood by me to help me out. But fundamentally, when you're a one-man shop, you literally have to do everything. But I do
yeah,
understand that, if this podcast were to expand, I would need to then get specialized people. And whether it's the producer, the content maker, the person who gets out and brings in people, these are very highly specialized roles.
mm,
And inevitably, you do create that. I think confinement is probably the wrong word, but you do create that sort of job for people to slot
yeah.
into. And I think you made a good point there, whether it's intentional or unintentional. You mentioned something about, the compensation. Obviously, you've been in total rewards for a long time now, Ikshit.
Yeah.
Do you see that changing?
Um, Obviously, it's changing.
Mm.
I was reading this article yesterday which mentioned that Amazon has increased their maximum compensation to $350, which is $350,000, which is
Yeah, I
like
saw
in
that.
the US. Yeah. So it's like 2x of what they were initially, putting a bar on. So if they range at a certain level allowed up to $150,000, it's
Mm.
now $350,000. So, and then they talk about the Great Recession, right? So the talent mobility post COVID has increased so much that the entire demand and supply scheme has dismantled, and is
Mm.
now, there's a new wave, I would say, after the COVID wave of employment, right? About US, we are reading about the Great Recession. I can talk about India, where it's becoming really hard. The attrition levels have gone up to 40-50%, and attracting and retaining talent has become really difficult. And now it's not about compensation anymore, because the organizations are ready to pay you, allow me to use this term, shit ton loads of money.
Mm.
Uh, let's say if I were earning 1x, if I were earning 10 rupees in currency, let's say, organizations have, especially in IT, are really ready to pay 2.5x, 3x. That's a huge jump. People at that level, let's say a 5 or 6 year, experienced engineer, was not wired to earn that much, or was not wired to think about that much money in this short time. So now, now the shift is that I will choose amongst the options of 4 or 5 jobs. I will choose what I like the most, because money doesn't really matter. I was thinking I'll earn $100,000. I am currently at $750,000. I will earn $100,000 in my next job, but suddenly I am getting $150,000 or $200,000, which is like way beyond the inflation, right? Or my lifestyle. So I will not choose. It can be 150, it can be 200. I will not pick $200,000 just for the sake of money, right? I might settle for a little less because it's already higher than my expectations. As a human being, I was
good point.
thinking.
Very good point.
So my personal belief is that now, especially with the younger folks, younger workforce of, let's say, 5 to 10 to 15 years experience, they will choose the quality of work over money, at least in the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, in my view. And the entire landscape of talent is going to change, right? People will, when I do what I love, I really upskill myself. I just don't work 9 to 5, right?
Yeah, you're right, buddy. If you love it, there's no time bound.
Yeah. So obviously the quality of workforce will improve, because if I love what I work, I'll research, I'll work more, I'll go deep, I'll really emphasize on the quality than the quantum. And when that happens, obviously the quality of workforce will improve.
Interesting. So you're looking at sort of productivity growth. So I'm always curious, bro. Why have we seen such a massive shift where attrition rates have been rising? Employers can't fill spots. What do you think what do you think fundamentally caused that? Like, I've read so many different things about it. Like, you've got, for example, people going into crypto, making millions and going, you know what, I don't need to work anymore. You've got the sort of the creator economy, people going on Instagram, OnlyFans, and making a living there. But I haven't read anything that was sort of concise as to why we're seeing what we're seeing. Because in Australia, we're seeing the same thing, Ikshit. We're seeing, specialized roles like, engineering, cybersecurity, they're getting 1.5, 2x. But I've always been confused, buddy, as to what caused this sort of wave to increase. Do you know what I mean? Like, where did it come from? I could never pick it.
I think, see, if you see, I don't think a lot of new organizations or new opportunities have increased. What's happened, exactly. Right? It's not that suddenly nothing's changed, right? It's not
the jobs
that suddenly
the
same people.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that Earth became 2x and human beings became 2x and we suddenly have so many people.
But I don't get it. I don't know what happened, right?
So it's the same talent pool. It's the same amount of organizations. What has happened is that the last 2 years, and again, it's a personal view. I don't have any way to authenticate this because I have not read it in Harvard or People Matters or large big data analysis from firms. This is my personal belief from the ground that what happened was that during the COVID first, second, or maybe to be very precise, starting 2019 January till 2020 January, what happened was that there was a deep, it actually behaved like stock markets, right? If you notice the stock markets, they're at the most high level, right? In India, it's all-time high, right? What suddenly changed, right? Do you think that in the last 2 years we did wonderful business? In the last 2 years, did we really do the best of the best that the stock markets are going up? Obviously, no. The businesses are at all-time low. The stock markets should be at all-time low, but it's the other way around. What happened is that suddenly people in the in the employment sector were seeing a dip, right? There's loss of jobs. There's no interesting work. Let's say I'm a sales manager and I sell loans. Okay, maybe I'm a lending sales manager. If I have to sell for loans for housing or property or maybe personal loans, the requirement of the loans went down or maybe the requirement went up, but the NPAs, where the non-performing assets, went up. So what happened was that we stopped giving loans, right, as an organization. It means that as a sales manager, now I do not have work. I might have employment, I might not have work, right? Then, or I might not even have employment. So there were two things. One, people were not having enough work, maybe, or employments obviously have slashed. There was job loss, there were loss of bonuses, there were loss of pay, there was emotional disturbance. All of this ended up to, there was a halt for the last few years in employment.
Because the whole COVID
Organizations,
thing.
yeah, in the whole COVID thing, organizations were being reluctant in expanding. Now, suddenly, we've all realized that, hey, we've already lost 2 years. The wave seems settled. There is no more COVID. Even if there is COVID, it's going to be mild enough to be handled.
Mm-hmm.
Now the organizations are really, at the verge of expansion, proliferation, or at least think about only and only growth. Now, when, let's say, you, me, and there are 10 more entrepreneurs, if we start talking, 6 months back, we were talking about, hey, there's no business is shutting down, there's no investment. Suddenly, we all start talking about, hey, listen, there's a rebound happening. It's a speedy recovery. I think we should not miss the bus. We all will go out in the market, hunt for talent, and get ready for the new gig. Right? That's what is happening. This is the time when everybody's coming back. All the organizations that, hey, we don't want to miss the bus. Let's start expanding because we are now back in business. There is no more COVID.
Got it. So you're saying that the talent pool has always been the same, but since businesses nowadays are really want to ramp back up to get that next level of growth, we therefore have a mismatch between available talent and the jobs, basically. Because businesses want to put on the pedal to attract that new round of growth.
Right.
Interesting.
Now, these salaries, these salary increases or, mad money that we're talking about is not for everybody. It's all for the premium and eligible talent pool, right? It's for quality talent. Because when I go back in market for, let's say I had 4,000 employees and due to COVID, I had to, really lay off 300. Now, when I'm back in business, I will again plan and I'll again need 200. So I'll go and hunt in the market, right? So that's what is happening. All the organizations are going back and, hunting in the market for their talent pool. There are some organizations who are backfilling. There are some organizations who are thinking about growth. As I gave you the stock market example, I think it's behaving in the same way. When the markets were going all-time low and when they hit the all-time low, everybody started pumping in money. And then it went up uncontrollably, right? I remember in India, Sensex hit all-time in 2020, right? It was the first wave. And the second wave could not bring it back down to pre-COVID levels. It still did all-time high.
Wow.
So I don't know, right? I mean, I'm really surprised personally, and people will have definitely good reasons. I'm not a stock market analyst, but from a layman's term, I understand it. I can connect the employment with the same,
interesting
analogy.
So right now, I know markets has obviously taken a bit of a bump that's gone downwards. By all means, we've seen technology stocks take a bit of a hammering. The previous company that you and I were with, that's sort of come down considerably. But at the same time, these businesses are still posting strong revenue growth, despite the environment. That's an interesting point, buddies. So with so many jobs out there, coming from a total rewards, being your bread and butter, what do you think organizations need to do above and beyond the salary? Because like what we talked about, if you're going to give me 200, I want that because I'm just happy with 150 and it's got to be something more than that to attract me, right? So do you see organizations trying to, be a bit more variable in their compensation plans to really attract the talent or?
So I think there are two facets to this in your question. One is, what can we do more in compensation, employee compensation? Is it just about increasing the money? Maybe, maybe not. And the second one is that what else apart from compensation can drive? Is it only compensation? If it's only compensation, then the problem is not too big, right? Then Jeff wouldn't have left his previous organization. So because I remember, right? So I think these are two very different boxes and facets which have to be dealt in parallel. You cannot let one slip, right? You cannot let one of these two slip from your hands as an organization. So one thing that I believe, Jeff, is that we need to constantly make the workforce learn and do something new. Gone are those days when people wanted to work in the same 9 to 5, same work life cycle for 5 years, 10 years. The employment now has to be interesting. If it is not, then there are multiple ways I can earn bread, right? So the organizations will have to make your work interesting. And that has to go to a depth where each and every employee is doing something different. Otherwise, you might just, lose or really critical and critical and potential talent. When I say you need to make work interesting, what I mean here is that talk to your employees constantly. Be proactive in your communication. Be proactive in your, knowing your employees. How are they doing personally? How are they doing at work? Please don't think that personal, how is my employee doing personally doesn't really matter to me. That's not right. As a manager, as a management, we need to know them because they spend a significant amount of their life with us. Imagine 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day for 5 days. I don't think an employee is even spending that much amount of time at their home because most of the time,
even their spouse or their kids, you're right. It's a fantastic point there.
So proactively know what they like, from a work standpoint, proactively go and know about their personality, their personal life, everything is fine or not. And the most important is create talent fungibility.
Talent
all of this has to
fungibility.
be,
Wow.
yeah,
like
all of this
What's
has to be
buddy?
done. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
All of this has to be, all of this has to be done proactively because, as managers or as HR especially, sometimes we become really reactive. My view is that this is a time when we should become a proactive manager or a proactive HR than a reactive manager or a reactive HR. So be proactive in these three things, and I don't think you will ever have a problem of losing talent. Know what because every organization has a potential to give to an employee what they really want to do, right? If you don't have it, let them go somewhere else, right? If you cannot offer your employees what they really aspire to do, it's actually fair to let that individual go and work anywhere they can. So on whatever, like if one of my employees wants to sell breads or make breads, let's say one of my employees wants to be a baker, and my organization cannot have anything really that can connect to it, then I should let them free. I should not hold them by giving them money. I should not hold them by giving them stocks because that will not last for long, right? I'm just buying somebody's dreams for the next 2 years. I don't think that's fair.
Well said, buddy. Well said. I always see in the media, you see the occasional LinkedIn where you have these sort of conversations where, I always found that exit interviews to be quite interesting. If is there ever such thing in an exit interview where the employee who's about to leave tells the truth?
Sorry,
is there an opportunity in an exit interview where an employee would tell the truth? Because by the time the exit interview occurs, it's already too late, isn't it?
Honestly, I don't have a data in I don't have exact data, but I can on top of my mind on top of my head, I can tell you that 50% of the times I've had the truth from the employees.
Wow.
And mostly, if not, I'd be too. I'm being conservative by saying 50%. I spend a quality time with employees, in their exit. I try to deep dive. I don't call it exit interviews. I call them discussions for future.
Lovely. Good man. Good man.
I really frame my exit discussion in a way where it is more about your future. What are you going to do, and how I will be connected to you in future? How will our paths really cross again? But automatically, the employee talks about the past. When I say, "Hey Jeff," when I say, "Hey Jeff, where are you headed? Why are you doing this? Okay, how will you stay in touch with me? Can I call you? What all do you aspire to do? What are your 5-year plans? What are your 10-year plans? Or what's your retirement plan?" When I talk about all that, at least you will trust me that I am not just interested in knowing those 5 points. Did your manager bug you? Did your peers bug you? Did the culture not fit in you? I'm not. Those could be outcomes of the conversation. If I really go and nudge on those points, I don't think it'll ever come out from the employee truly.
Right. Fantastic. Just as a side point to our audience, we met back in 2017, and as always, I'm very thankful that I haven't seen you for 4 or 5 years now, Ikshit, and I'm so thankful that I've met someone with whom I haven't seen for such a long time, yet the values that I saw in this person 4 or 5 years ago is still there. It's an honor that you're on. It's an honor you're a guest on this podcast, Ikshit. It's amazing what you mentioned in terms of, at the end of the day, you just got to care for your staff, really, and be human, be empathetic. It's simple, isn't it? But it's not, unfortunately, is it?
It's simple, but when all of us tend to forget this when we are under pressure. For example, if I as an HR am under pressure to hire and retain talent, I might just forget, hey, let it be, man. Let me just somehow retain this individual for the next 6 months. When I plan backup, then he can leave. I think that's very inhuman. I don't do it personally. I know
you mean putting the number, putting the performance of the company in front of the employee.
Yeah, in the end, it's all about human dynamics, Jeff. If we are not in a stage where if there were no humans, I can survive, right? So humans are the most important and the most critical aspect of any business, right? It could be my job, it could be my business, it could be your podcast, it could be your new venture. It's all about humans, right? So we only need to value everybody. If I think the problem can get solved if every human in your mind becomes your customer.
Lovely. Everyone's your customer, right?
Right. If you become a customer to me in my head, I will never do, something wrong for you. I will never think in a way that, let me just use this person for the next 3 months, or let me just lie to this person. I believe a good salesperson, keeps in mind that this customer, if I were to retain this customer forever, for a longer run, I will have to, behave in ethics, and I will really have to be truthful. So I think this is something we should keep in back of our mind, and we should really try to be humans, right? Before being really professional. And I said that we were talking about the exit interview. If we think about it as a future discussion, a discussion for future, mine and yours, you really will start behaving in a different way. And there is no big, there is a chance you retain the employee on the exit interview this day. It has happened with me once. We ended up retaining somebody after their farewell party.
Wow.
At a leadership level.
Wow. And the simple thing was you were just human.
Yeah. the only thing that could retain that individual was talking about their future. What are you going to do? Where are you headed? People have this, I don't know why people hide about their future organizations. For instance, I've put in my papers and I have a job. I don't know why we hide about that. We should be vocal. Maybe my current organization has a better opportunity. Maybe they're thinking of something, maybe they're thinking of something which I don't know because it's confidential, but it'll come out if I tell that, hey, I'm going to pursue XYZ profession in ABC industry. Maybe my current organization has something better on the table, right? So as soon as we talk about your future, there is a plethora of opportunities my present organization can open, right? So
I think
talk about future.
It's funny actually, I'm not too sure where this podcast is going to go, but I'm very much looking forward to creating an organization, maybe one day, where you really pay homage to employees. And I think what you said, that if you can treat your employees like customers, I think the whole mindset completely changes.
Yeah.
Because you're going
to...
sorry, Raj, it's amazing. It's such a profound statement that you have made, and it's so simple.
It's so simple, and I don't know why. I've seen places where you are more respectful to your customers than your employees. I think that's the problem I'm trying to solve by saying, please treat your employees as your customers. You will suddenly forget that disrespect, or you'll suddenly start being professional instead of being non-professional sometimes. I'm not saying everybody, every manager, every boss, every CEO is like that, but there are instances I have seen, you have seen, everybody's read, where employees are being, the empathy is missing, or you sometimes don't know your own employees, which is not right. I understand, at a level, you cannot know all your employees, right? But the employees should have that comfort with you, that they can walk up to you and talk. Then that will only come if you are touched on the ground. If people at the ground know that this man is, or this woman is approachable. I'll give you a small example. I was in the organization that I shared. I was an HR partner there, and I was supporting a team of about 450 engineers. When I took that role, my boss asked me, what is that you're going to do? The first thing that you want to do? I said, I want to talk to all these employees. I want to go and have a 10-minute discussion at least with these 400 people. And my boss really smiled and he said, it's a good plan, but even if you do 2 discussions in a day, it'll take you, 2 years or a year and a half to complete. I said, that's true. But maybe, at least I have to start. I didn't know, Jeff, I completed those 400 conversations or not. But by the time I met about 100, 125 employees, already the entire org knew me. Because with humans, what's happening is that, if you go and nudge one group with empathy, they will know that somebody, they'll talk about you, right? So it's like you can really, spread the word by only going and personally talking. So in my first few conversations, I went and I told this to the employees, right? I told them that I'm talking to you because I just want you to let you know that I'm here. I'm here as a business partner to you. I'm here as an HR partner to you. Walk up to me for anything, right? You don't have to think. And there's also this, phenomenon sometimes in people's mind that HR might just support my manager. That's not true. The real HR is there to be truthful, respectful, and, be there for you and everybody in the organization, right? Every employee. So when I told this to employees, a few of them asked me, hey, listen, how will you even remember 400 names and faces, right? How will you remember that who I am? And that I was really taken aback because, I already have a problem of forgetting names. I'm practicing that for myself. But, in reality, this is a problem for me because if I don't know 400 people and their names, how will I solve the problem? And then I thought, I came back to that person after the day. I said, listen, I was just thinking, I might not remember your name. I will remember your face. I might not remember your team, but I don't really have to because that data is available with me. I know your history. I know everything about you. It's there on my screen. I know your compensation journey. I know your experience journey. I know your potential and performance journey. What I want you is to know me because, if Ikshit has a problem, he can go to 10 different people to get it solved. If you have a problem, you can go to your manager's manager, or me. So it's important for you to know me than me to know you. So know
Interesting.
me and about me so that you feel that I am approachable. It shouldn't be the case that you are thinking that Ikshit is not approachable. I should be a call away, right?
Great answer,
So
buddy. Great
you
great way
knowing,
to answer that question.
right?
It's truthful. It's sincere. You're right, buddy. You were honest. I may forget I may forget your name, but I'll remember your face. I remember your compensation details, your performance, and if you can remember me, that's a
Yeah,
great way for me to help you going forward.
absolutely.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it, buddy. It's an interesting conversation, man. I think we're like 40 minutes in, and I haven't had a chance to even look at your survey responses, mate. But mate, we've known each other for like 4 or 5 years. You made some very interesting answers between what you're thinking short term versus where
Yeah,
you're thinking long term.
yeah.
Let's dig deeper on the short term. And actually, why that distinction, Ikshit? Short term, long term.
Uh, See, as I really, I mentioned in the survey that I'm always thinking.
Yeah.
I sometimes think that I think a lot. Uh,
That's why we get along.
yeah, absolutely. See, I have a habit. I'm a workaholic in a way, right? I have a habit of staying connected to work, or reading about work, or staying connected with people. So a lot of time for me goes into talking to people. you know a lot of time you will see me just going and talking to people and connecting with them. That's what I'm good at. As you and me, we just met one or two
Yeah,
times 4 years
man.
back, but we're still in touch,
We are.
right? So I try to be in touch. I try that there shouldn't be even a single message if Jeff sends and I don't respond, or I try to just ping Jeff once in a blue moon, so that Jeff doesn't forget me. He knows that, okay, there's a person sitting in India who is available and who wants me to come down and he can show me around. So I think it's all about connections, right? And it boils down to the thinking aspect. Why I think a lot is because I have so many connections, I have so many people in my life, and as an individual, I care, I worry, I'm empathetic, I'm there to help, I want to support. I really believe in community living. I really believe in communities, right? I really believe that
Fantastic.
as humans, by community, not by religion, not by color, not by any ethnicity, nothing, but community by humans. Like number of faces together will create a crowd which can really work for each other.
Brilliant.
So I think a lot because I have so many people around me. So let's say I'm thinking about Jeff and I solve something in my mind. Okay, maybe this is what I'll talk about, to Jeff tomorrow. And then suddenly I'll jump on to the other person. Okay, I'll go to office today. Tomorrow I'll have to meet these three people. They have these problems. In my mind, I think about these problems. Okay, how do I give a solution? How do I really help them? How can I, create something for them? Then the thought might just jump towards my own work. Okay, I have these three deliveries in the next 2 weeks.
Mm.
Okay, this is how I'll plan. So most of my short-term thoughts are around people and my own work, and that's the reason, because there's so many people I'm connected to, and meanwhile I'll think about my friends. I have so many friends. I'm still in touch with all my school friends, almost all my good school friends. There are like 20 of them now. They're married, so it will be 40. right? And they have kids. So these are the families, 20 odd families I'm connected to personally. Then there's my family's extended family. In India, you have, large
It's a lot of
families.
people.
It's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I don't ever, I don't ever come to a situation where I don't have anything to think. Uh, I force myself to think and keep connected to everybody, and you know, uh,
It's not a bad
maybe
thing,
that's the
right?
reason.
It's not a bad thing, right? You never feel overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my entire life till date, at least, I have not felt alone. I've not been in a situation where I feel that I'm lonely. Uh, you know, I don't know what loneliness is so
Mm-hmm.
far, uh, because I have friends like Jeff to always support.
Yeah, you do, mate. And it's you're right. It's community, it's friendships, it's relationships, it's
Yeah,
connections. It's these conversations between you and I that really matter at the end of the day. Um,
yep.
you made a very interesting point. Is there an end? Is there enough?
No, I think there's no end, and I think there shouldn't be an end, because
Mm,
if you stop thinking, then what's next? You know, there's a brain sitting on top of us which constantly works 24/7, right? It never stops, so it never stops thinking. It's just that you can control your thoughts. Now thinking can be negative, thinking can be, uh, there could be pessimism in your thinking. You can be optimistic, you can be positive. I think sometimes you have to forcefully drive yourself towards positive thinking. There will be tons of negative thoughts that will come to your mind every minute, that can come to your mind. It could be, next minute I think, if I lose my job, what will happen if I,
there will always be
if
something.
I walk on the road, and yeah, if I walk on the road, anything can happen. If I walk on the road and somebody hits me, I can just, my life just ends. So these are negative thoughts which you constantly need to evade from. That's what I do. As soon as something negative comes to my mind, I first accept it. Not accepting is also wrong. Then you are not doing the right thing. I think you need to accept some negative news, uh, absorb it, instantly get out of it by saying, okay, I'll get out of it later, or maybe I have a solution to it. So absorbing the negative thought or negative news in your mind and then reacting with a positive outlook or an answer is really important. uh, why I say absorbing, Jeff, is because I know people in my life who might be ignorant of negativity, who might be ignorant of, or by negativity, I can mean problems also, right? Who are ignorant of problems. They'll just simply ignore problems. Oh, okay, we'll deal with it later. No, absorb it. This is a problem. Yes, this is a problem.
Yeah, don't
Yes, I
don't
have
don't
EMI.
don't, don't sweep it under the rug. You've got to deal with it, hey?
Yeah, you can just brush it under the carpet and move on, right? Accept it. As soon as I accept, but it's very important to instantly come out of it, because humans have solutions, right? There are so many people you and me know, great people who've come out of bad situations, wonderfully and doing really well. So these small thoughts, these instant short-term thoughts will keep moving around your, they'll keep moving around in your mind, always, especially people like me who think a lot. Because I don't know, if I'm not thinking, then what do? I don't know. Even if
Mm.
I'm reading a book, even if I'm, I have a problem. If I'm reading a book, I start connecting the books with people. I start connecting my what I'm instantly reading with people, unless I'm reading history and imagining history. If I'm reading something about people, let's say, or if I'm reading something from some novel, which is about, if I'm reading a story, let's say, right? I start putting a face to that. I start thinking about my people I know. So even if I'm reading, I'm thinking about people. If I'm reading, I'm thinking about myself, my life around it. Um, I'm listening to music, I'm thinking. So I think personally, for me and people like me, we will always think. I don't think it's a bad thing. You should think. It makes you prepared in your life. So these are the short-term thoughts which keep coming, and there is no end. I think
Interesting, buddy.
this is a habit.
You mentioned, you mentioned the word enough.
Hmm.
When you say enough, do you mean enough from a monetary point of view? Enough in a sense of you help a lot of people, or are you saying that there really is no enough? Do you understand what I mean? Like you definitely, you and I were both thinkers. I know that, and even I go to myself, when will it be enough? But I say it in a positive way that it won't be, because I think it's a journey. I think it's important that we spend time with people who have that positivity around us. But just getting back to the word enough, Ikshit, what did you mean by that? Enough.
Honestly, I don't have an answer to it, because
interesting, buddy.
So there are very simple terms like sky is the limit, there is no limit, humans are limitless. That's okay, right? We are limitless, right? If you talk about money, if you talk about connections, if you talk about political growth, if you talk about being famous, there is no limit, right? You can be famous to the universe. But the real limit is when you draw a line that beyond this time, I will stop doing, I will stop working, or I will stop working for money, or I will stop working for expansion. I will move, I will shift, my, I'll really shift towards doing something else. So you remember I mentioned a point called retirement, and that's the second bit about
the longer term thinking.
About your thoughts, right? You can always be busy with you will always be busy with the short term thoughts, right? All my life, right? If I see somebody old around me, if I see my grandparents, their short term thoughts were waking every day and what will I eat, and where will I sit, and whom will I talk to, and which city should I be in the next few days. That was their only thought, right? And there are others in the same age I see today who have thoughts that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to visit an NGO and help old people. Day after, I'm going to visit a blind school and help the blind people. So there are people at that age who are giving it back to the society. So these are two different plans, and there's no right or wrong. So coming back to the point, I think that you have to draw a line that beyond this time, I will not work for money, or I will not have certain plans. So I just don't want to feed something in everybody's mind by saying this, limit, or putting a limit. But thinking about your retirement is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I think we have to be proactive enough to plan for our retirement. That what is the plan, and I personally think that we all need to draw. It could be age, it could be money, right? Let's say I draw a line that beyond 55 or beyond 60 years of my age, I will not work for money. I will start giving it back to the society. For the rest of my life, I live 100 years, I live 80 years, I live 75 years. The rest of my life, I'm just going to give it back to the society. I'll work for poor, I'll work for water conservativity, I'll work for environment, I'll work for people careers, whatever it is, right? Or I'll work for money, right? If somebody has a passion about growing money, they should work for it. But there has to be a line that beyond a certain age or beyond a certain wealth creation, what is my plan? Because humans are not born, or I believe personally, we are not born here to just come and work and earn. Like there is definitely something else. There is definitely something.
What is that something else, Ikshit?
I don't know. So to me, see, I don't want to feed thoughts. To me, it is about creating impact and helping others, right? It's very simple. Helping others means to you, it might just feel, how do you help others? There are tons of ways. You just walk on the road and see so many people who need help. I cannot feed money to all those people, but at least I can be supportive and I can find solutions to them.
Yeah, you can sit there and listen. You can lend a helping hand. There's many ways that you can help people.
Yeah. So I know I'm not being really specific here. But I am deliberately not being specific here because everybody is different. For Jeff, a retirement plan would be very different from me,
Mm.
right? Uh, there are people who want to do farming, leave everything and just go and, buy a big, large farm and do farming.
Each to their own. There's no right or wrong.
Right. There's no right or wrong. But think
Yeah.
about it because that is the only thing that will make you happy and will make you live your life. Because most of our time, we were born, then we were studying, and then we were in college, then working. More than half of my life I was busy and really either learning or earning or, eating or sleeping. But was I really living? Was I really enjoying?
You're right.
Right?
Yeah, I've made that mistake so many times, mate, where you're right. Sometimes you need to stop and think about it. And you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. A lot of us are too busy thinking. No, a lot of us are too busy eating, sleeping, working, playing, but not doing enough thinking to see where this is leading towards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
That's a great point. So that's where you need to shut your short-term thoughts, draw a line that, okay, let me put everything aside. Now, just sit in front of the mirror and talk to yourself that, hey, buddy, what's your plan for living the life? How are you going to live your life? You might be enjoying this, and there could be some aggressive people who will say, this is what I call living, every day going and running, with others in the stock market, every day going and chasing money in the stock market. This is living for me. I'm enjoying. That's good. Beautiful. But is it that you will be able to do in your later years? If not, then what's the plan? You might have a lot of wealth on you, but start planning it because you also don't want to be in a situation where you have a lot of wealth, but you don't have a plan to use it, right? You're in a situation where you don't know how to use this money, you don't have friends, you don't have family. So, just think about it, be proactive enough, be kind enough to yourself. I know I'm too young, maybe I don't have experience of 75 years of age, but I have experience from my own family. I have experience from my own friends.
Hey,
I have
it's very
experience from,
unique.
yeah, I am not 75 years yet, so I can't talk about that age, but I really can talk about that age because I've been close to old people. I've been close enough to a lot of old people, uh, and I've learned from that I need to be really proactive and thoughtful about the later part of my life because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm really drained and I don't know what to do with a lot of
Yeah, you don't want to
money
be.
or maybe
Yeah, you don't want to be 65 years old and you go to yourself, so what was the point of me doing that for the past 65 years?
yeah,
So it's deliberate thinking, Ikshit.
yeah,
Here's a question for you,
yeah,
buddy.
absolutely.
You know, I remember reading this book 10 years ago. I think it was five. I can't remember it was 5 or 10 years ago, and it talked about how will you measure your life by Clayton Christensen. Have you heard of him?
No. Okay.
Innovator's Dilemma, that type of guy. Yeah, I think he used to be a professor at Harvard University.
Mm-hmm.
He's passed away, but fantastic individual, right? And he posed a question to his students: how will you measure your life?
Wow.
Great question, eh? And
That,
and I think
that's a powerful line and powerful question.
so there's two lines of thinking. There's how will you measure your life, or how will be remembered. Now, similar or quite different? I
Sorry.
prefer how.
Can,
So how will you measure your life versus how will you be remembered? I think they're quite
hmm,
similar, eh? Or slightly different
it is.
questions.
Yeah. I think how will you measure your life and how will be
You'll be
you
remembered.
remembered? So how will you be remembered is an outcome of how will you measure your life. So
For me, like if you were to ask me that, I don't need to be remembered.
hmm, yeah,
For
that's
me,
that's the strong one.
for me, I know that there will come a point in time where I kick the bucket and that's it. I will be forgotten, and I'm okay with that. So to me, the more powerful question will be that I always think about, Ikshit, is how will I measure my life? And I think the greatest realization that I got recently was, I'm still working it out, but for me, it would be the quality of relationships I have with my family and friends.
Yeah.
That to me, how do I continue to be a great husband? How can I continue to be a great dad? How can I continue to be a great, friend? And I think that's a very interesting way for one person to measure their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think we all need to learn this. If we just say, Jeff, that it's for me and for you, I think we should start saying it proactively that it is for everybody. We should all, think that it is about human dynamics. In the end, if you've not been kind enough to humans, then maybe you've not done the right thing. You've not done justice to the earth, right?
Human dynamics, you're
we,
right.
it's all about human dynamics. We should keep it in our mind. We cannot be aggressive enough to hurt someone, right? Your goal in your life should be you're not even hurting a single person. Don't hurt emotionally. An emotional hurt is hurting someone emotionally is much more worse than hurting physically, because physical,
they heal. They're
if
surface. They're just
they
surface
can
wounds.
heal,
Yeah, they'll
right?
heal.
They can heal. They can heal. You can live with it. You start living with it, but emotionally hurting someone will never go out of their.
No.
It gets wired somewhere in your mind, and you will end up really not being kind enough to humans then.
Yeah,
So
because
be kind enough.
that stuff can get really ingrained in people. It's funny
Yeah.
sometimes, Ikshit, like I know a lot of the time we judge a lot of people. And I always believe that, you're never really going to know someone, very cliched, until you worked in their shoes, because when someone's young and they face emotional turmoil or emotional grief, it becomes very ingrained, doesn't it?
Yeah. Which shouldn't be the case. Being a young, you're so enthusiastic. You have a huge potential. You're at the peak of your life from the energy standpoint. That's not the time to be depressed. That's not a time to be hurt, right? And I don't blame the ones who get hurt. I blame the ones who hurt people, right? Be kind enough. Be yourself and be kind enough for people. Don't run after money. I think money is a big problem that makes you hurt others, right?
Sure, greed.
Just
There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get us wrong. There's nothing wrong with money.
Yeah.
But like anything, it can be abused. Anything. Doesn't matter if it's money
Yeah.
or whatever, right? It can be abused.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my thought. I think I gave you my long term and short term
You did.
thought. Uh, that's it. If what else do you think from the questionnaire came out?
Yeah, no, it was interesting how you broke it down between, short and long, and so you don't mind me saying, obviously there's a baby along the way. It should come along soon. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about bringing someone new into this world?
I think it's
Excited?
it's a part. It's a part of the life. It's a part of my life, and I personally, I personally did not think that by this age I will be or I would become a father. But I think when you reach, right, when you're at one, you're destined. Secondly, when you're reaching, you start becoming more responsible. You honestly, I read books. I talk to people who are fathers. I talk to people who are recent fathers. I talk to my peers. But what I what I feel is that I will only know when the rubber hits the road. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in a confused state, but I really want to play it by ear. I want to just enjoy each and every moment. So I'm going ahead with an unbiased, unplanned.
No expectations. You're going to keep it open.
Yeah. So I'll see. This is my first time, so I'll just keep it really vanilla and write my own book. By saying write my own book, that I will deal with my own experience. So if you ask me what's the plan, what's in your mind, nothing. I don't think much about it. I think it's a beautiful stage in your life, and this beautiful stage I would really want to enjoy each and every day. But broadly, I think you be a little bit more cautious in terms of your settlement in life, right? And if I may, maybe your appetite of risk starts going down.
Interesting.
You want to be a little settled so that you can enjoy your time with your family also, and you are safe financially, you are secure. So if somebody asks me, hey, do you want to give up your job and start a new organization with me, I might be hesitant at this point in time. That's why I relate that the appetite of risk at this stage in your life goes a little down. You want to be a little settled. That's the only thing that's
it's a new chapter where it's an unknown for you.
Yeah.
But I could tell you that it's all uphill from here, and it is. But you made a very good point. You're not going to know until the book is in front of you, and you're seeing the observations and writing them down. Great approach, Ikshit. You know what I mean? And how's your wife?
Oh, she's okay now.
Good. That's the main thing, buddy.
Yeah.
Here's a sort of a final thought. I really appreciate your time, Ikshit. I think there was a very profound statements you've made about, being human to employees, treating them like customers. If there's one thing that a manager out there should know, I know I'll probably cover the answer. If there are managers out there who are listening to this podcast, Ikshit, what is that one advice that you would give for them to be a better leader?
I don't know if one advice will work, because there are a few things, but I think know your employees in and out. If you don't know your employees in and out deep, right, personally and professionally both, then you are really missing a point. How will you make their future a bright future? Then you're just choosing them to solve your own purpose. You're not being kind enough. You're not being human enough. So know your employees in and out. You will know what do they want to do, what do they like doing, what do they don't like doing, and then you will deliver it accordingly, right? So know your employees in and out. It's very important. In the right direction, if you know employees.
Wow, amazing.
I'm sorry, I think my AirPods just.
All good. So know your employees inside out. Fantastic, Ikshit. Mate, as we bring a close to this podcast, mate, you having fun? Are you enjoying it?
Absolutely, man. These are so interesting, some interesting conversations, and I really don't mind doing it again, on same topics, different topics. I know we didn't choose a topic. I couldn't prepare for one, and I'm happy about this because I could really talk about my own thoughts.
Yeah, bro. The purpose of this was to get people to come for a conversation. I never wanted this to be an interview, and I'm very happy that we didn't even really follow the script. And that's the beauty of it all, Ikshit. But bro, it's been a pleasure. Send my regards to your wife, and I think so when I upload this, mate, if we're going to get like a lot of comments, that means I got to bring you back on the show, right?
Sure.
Done deal, buddy. All right, Ikshit, I'll leave it to you, mate, and I'll chat to you soon, bud.
All right, man. Thank you. Nice speaking to you.
See you, buddy. Take care.
Bye. Take care.